from MCRMC and will be attending the International Youth Ministry Congress in Rome.
Mari ikuti perjalanan kami. Jom. International Youth Ministry Congress ini dimulakan dengan sesi pengenalan dan welcoming oleh Kardinal Kevin Farrell, Prefect of the Dicastery for the Laity, Family and Life. Dalam ucapannya, beliau mengalu-alukan kehadiran semua delegasi dan menyatakan bahawa ini adalah saatnya untuk kita membuat peralihan di mana kita membawa para belia untuk membangkitkan gereja. Pembentangan hasil evaluasi Hari Belia Sedunia Lisbon 2023 disampaikan oleh Komiti Penganjur WYD Lisbon 2023. Dalam evaluasi ini, pihak penganjur terlebih dahulu memohon maaf atas segala kekurangan sepanjang penganjuran World Youth Day Lisbon. Dan mereka juga menyatakan bahawa telah memahami bahawa World Youth Day Lisbon ini adalah pertemuan antara orang muda, oleh orang muda dan untuk orang muda. Ia adalah pertemuan bersama Kristus yang hidup. World Youth Day Lisbon 2023 dihadiri seramai 354,000 peserta yang berdaftar. Seramai 67,000 peserta menyertai Days in Diocese di 17 diosis di Portugal. Malam Vigil di Campo da Gracia dihadiri seramai 1,3 juta orang, manakala misa penutup pula dihadiri 1,8 juta orang. Info mengenai The Jubilee of Youth 2025 disampaikan oleh Monsignor Salvatore Fisicella, yaitu Pro-Prefect of the Dicastery for Evangelization. Jubilee of Youth akan diadakan pada 28 Julai 2025 sehingga 3 Ogos 2025 bertempat di Rom, Itali. Perayaan Jubilee Belia ini merupakan masa untuk berdoa bersama, dialog tentang spirituality, budaya dan aktiviti artistik. Para peserta juga akan berziarah di 4 pintu suci di 4 basilika di Rom, Itali. Jubilee Belia ini terbuka bagi belia yang berumur 18 hingga 30 tahun dan volunteer juga diperlukan bagi yang berumur 18 hingga 40 tahun. Pendaftaran akan mula dibuka pada 24 November 2024 hingga 31 Mac 2025 melalui Bishops Conference di negara masing-masing. Perkongsian tentang World Youth Day Seoul, Korea 2027 disampaikan oleh Monsignor Peter Sun Taek Chung, yaitu Uskup Agung Seoul, Korea, di mana pada masa ini Keuskupan Seoul sedang merancang penganjuran World Youth Day 2027 dan mengumpulkan segala sumber. World Youth Day 2027 akan menjadi Pilgrimage of Hope, di mana para belia akan memfokuskan kepada gereja sinodal, vocational discernment, dan rasul missionary. Dalam persiapan menuju World Youth Day 2027, umat di Seoul akan mendoakan 1 bilion dekat rosary untuk kejayaan World Youth Day ini. Sesi A New Methodology for a New Time disampaikan oleh Sandra Chol, yaitu Director of the Accompaniment Network for Discerning Leadership. Dalam sesi ini, Sandra mengongsikan dan menjelaskan mengenai kaedah spiritual conversation, yang mana kaedah ini merupakan jemputan kepada kita untuk berdiam dan mendengar. Apabila kita mendengar, ini akan membuka ruang untuk kita mendengar suara Tuhan di dalam doa dan berubah. Setelah itu, para delegasi pergi kepada kumpulan yang sudah dibahagikan dan berkongsi menggunakan kaedah spiritual conversation. Pada malam hari, diadakan Misa Kudus yang dipimpin oleh Kardinal Americo Manuel Alves Aguilar dan seterusnya makan malam dan persembahan kebudayaan oleh komuniti Seoul, Korea Selatan yang begitu menghiburkan.
The second day of the Congress started with a session on the reality of today's youth after the pandemic and in times of war, which was delivered by Professor Dr. Gustavo Fabian Cavagnari, Professor of Youth Ministry at the Salesian Pontifical University. In this session, Professor Gustavo guided the delegates to recognize the reality faced by today's youth and explain that the situation of youth in one place is not the same as in another. When discussing young people, we must think about them and not just make assumptions about them. Next, Father Dr. Christopher Ryan, the director of the Areta Center for Missionary Leadership Australia, gave a session on youth leadership, synodal and missionary. He shared that, as with the Universal Church, a synodal youth ministry needs to be led by the Holy Spirit. Youth leaders must be docile to the Holy Spirit in 3 principal ways: through prayers, by practicing deep listening through discernment, and by fostering the exercise of the charisms the Spirit bestows. After that, the delegates went into their respective sharing groups as in the first day for spiritual conversation, Then, Mass was celebrated by Archbishop Peter Sun Pek Chung, followed by lunch. Brenda Noriega, member of the first International Youth Advisory Body of the Dicastery, gave a session on formation and spiritual accompaniment of young leaders in a synodal youth ministry. She shared that there are three styles of leadership in a synodal youth ministry, namely participatory, transformative, and relational. In listening to and accompanying the young people, youth ministers need to meet them where they are, create a safe and nurturing environment, and invest in fearlessness and educate them to take on their responsibilities. When they become mentor or teachers to the young people, a spiritual friendship is formed, which is a sacred bond with radical commitment to mutual vulnerability and accountability. One way to change our mentality towards a synodal youth ministry is to see that every young person represents a reality I don't know, and a new face of God I would not know otherwise. Father Franco Galdino, the new youth director of the Dicastery, presented the results of the Christus Vivit questionnaire and shared on youth ministry in the digital environment. He shared the importance of using technology as a platform to network, to accompany the young people, and to evangelize. The COVID-19 pandemic has also moved the youth ministers to develop helpful skills for mission on the digital environment. After the session ended, we had spiritual conversation in our sharing groups, dinner, and the day ended with Eucharistic adoration. The third and last day of the Congress began with the delegates departing for the Vatican City for an audience with our Holy Father Pope Francis. The journey took about an hour by bus from Sasson. After the Holy Father arrived, he started his address by expressing his gratitude for all those who contributed to the success of World Youth Day in Lisbon. He also dreams that the upcoming Jubilee for Youth next year and World Youth Day Seoul 2027 will help many of the young, including those who are not ordinarily churchgoers, to encounter Jesus and to hear the Gospel's message of hope. The Holy Father shared several things that should never be lacking in the day-to-day work of youth ministry. First, young people need to be helped to arrive at certain basic certainties in life, the truths of the heart. God is love. Christ saves you. He lives, and the Spirit gives life. Next, spiritual discernment is an art that pastoral ministers must be the first to learn, where it is synodal, personal, and directed to the truth. Finally, the Holy Father reminded the delegates on the importance of continuing to listen to young people. A real listening, not one that is half-hearted or merely window dressing. Young people should be empowered, involved in dialogue, in planning activities and in making decisions. They should be made to feel that they are an active and full part of the life of the Church, and above all, that they are called to be the first to bring the gospel message to their peers. The address ended with a blessing and request by the Holy Father to pray for him, followed by individual greetings by the delegates. After the audience with the Holy Father ended, the delegates proceeded to St. Peter's Basilica for Holy Mass at the altar of the chair, celebrated by His Eminence Cardinal Americo Giard. Then, the delegates returned to Sasson for lunch, and the remaining part of the Congress continued. The delegates had a dialogue session with the Secretariat of the Synod of Bishops, Sister Natalie Becker, where they shared their thoughts, concerns, and questions in the plenary hall. Here are 5 things that were shared during the dialogue session. 1. Encouraging networking and relationships building between the local dioceses. We are united by our love for Christ and the Church and mission for the people. Next, the Church is not a democracy, but she is also not a monarchy. Third, the model of the Church is the Trinity, reaching towards communion and consensus. Next, synodality is learned step by step. We cannot learn discernment through academics. It is the life of the Spirit. And lastly, synodality is humility and openness to reconciliation. Synodality is all together. The Congress ended with various notes by Dr. Gleison de Paula Souza, Secretary of the Dicastery, and conclusion given by Father Franco Galdino. To our young people in Malaysia, we hope to see you at the Jubilee of the Youth 2025 and World Youth Day Seoul 2027. Stay tuned for more information.